Hello everybody and welcome back to RPG Radio. My name is Winback. I'll be your host today in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. We are going to hunt ourselves a Lunagaron. Started off this month with the Garen Golem, who is nice and Franken huge, as is his contemporary Frankenstein. I'm not even sure if that's a real comparison. That's just what I see when I look at them. But when you look at the Lunagaron, you can very much see the werewolf references and everything that he does. He likes to stand on his hind legs and transform and stuff. And we're just going to speed through the bird gathering here real quick in case you really want to see it. It's there, but it's going fast. All I really want to do is get through the path, pick up the green birds, go get the marionette spider, and line myself up for some success. Anyway, that being said, where were we? Lunagaron is a big icy wolf monster, and he is a fanged beast, I believe. And while we're doing our speedy bird run, you can see the build on the screen as it is. We have got the Pyre Pike, which is the Anjanath gun lance, Mashgarl Visor, Rhinopolis Mail, Acnosom Braces, Mashgarl Folia, which is the skirt, and Basarios Greaves with a Divine Talisman that does not have any slots. All of that being said, though, bird gathering is coming to a close, so be sure to like, comment, and subscribe your heart out, because it is a YouTube video after all, and everybody's chasing that sweet, sweet recognition from absolute strangers on the internet. Cool, so now that all that stuff is out of the way, as far as the build goes, we have our Pyre Pike is at rarity 9. It's not 10 yet, which is a little bit sad to my heart, but at the same time, not a big deal. It is a wide shelling type gun lance, so it's not one that's going to get used very often, but since it is a fire element gun lance as well, this is definitely going to help us with the Lunagaron, who does not like fire, if you can imagine that. Fire melting ice? Who would have thought, right? I mean, alright, rock, paper, scissors here, that's what we do. So one thing you may have noticed about the weapon is that it has negative 15% affinity, which, all things said and done, is pretty counterintuitive for our build. But this is the only fire weapon that I'm rocking in my current character playthrough. I don't know. I don't have the Rathalos or the Silver Rathalos upgrade gun lance yet, so this is what we're working with. I still love the Anjanath weapons. I love the Anjanath everything, really. That's my favorite monster anyway, so I don't have a big deal using the Pyre Pike, but the negative affinity on that weapon is a little bit counterintuitive for what our build does. The core of this build is latent power, fire attack, and critical element. We've also got artillery and offensive guard in there, as well as peak performance, which peak performance isn't necessarily, you know, the best thing in the world because it only works when we're at full health, but it was just kind of a gimme with some of the other stuff. Anyway, the core of the build is latent power, critical element, and fire attack. So, what that means is that after about 2 to 3 minutes of fighting with a monster, we're going to get increased crit rate and decreased stamina consumption on our character. And that means that we're going to get more crits and be able to block more often. Not that I think that's going to be a big deal, but still. And then while latent power is providing us more opportunity to do critical hits, critical element is going to engage the fire element of our weapon. And then fire attack is just adding more base fire damage to the weapon itself. So we've maxed out the fire attack, maxed out the critical element, tried to get the latent power maxed out, but this build does not have as many slots as I needed to have that many two-banger decorations. So we're a little bit shy on latent power, which is fine. 4 is still a pretty respectable damage increase or crit chance increase, which is all about what it needs to be. Now, a couple other honorable mentions for the builds. Since it's Gunlance builds, obviously artillery is super useful. Pretty sure we have only got the decoration, and we've got one piece of armor providing a single level of artillery. And then after that, since this is a wide ammo gun lance, we're using load shells, because having 2 shots in a gun lance is the most horrendously awful feeling thing in the universe, and if I have at least 3, I'm not going to freak out quite as much. So load shells coming in as well. It is definitely a requirement, I feel like, when it comes to wide ammo shelling. Now, after it's all said and done, the build being what it is, it did have relatively low resistances, no negative resistances, surprisingly, but it had the highest ice resistance, which is exactly what we needed for this fight, but I went ahead and took a little bit extra on top of that, with both Madangos and a single ice resistance decoration. A lot of this armor has a bunch of single slot decoration slots, so there was kind of a need to make use of those, but at the same time, you know what, it's not a big deal. Some of this armor is relatively, I don't know what it's called. Maybe it's rarity. But since we're using like Bisarios, Rhinopolis, Moshgarl, those are lighter rarity. They're like light blue instead of the purple stuff from the Garangolm, the Lunageron, the Astalos, those sort of things. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's to be expected that we're going to have smaller amounts of decoration slots, but maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. Either way, the Lunageron is an absolutely fantastic fight with this armor set. It definitely felt like I was dealing the right amount of damage. I had the build to counter this man instead of just getting run over like I had in the past with just a fire weapon. The parries absolutely stacking up. I think there's 1 or 2 times that we actually parry a roar on his transformation, which just feels so good. But he is, he definitely gets smacked around when it comes to this build. Now, the monster himself, he does have a number of attacks, but he's got a very, like, Wolverine-ish pattern to him. He likes to do a lot of dashing, a lot of stabbing. Only has 1 projectile type attack, I think, and that's just when he's going to fling a whole bunch of rocks at you from under the ground. But normally he's kind of in your face, going for the slashes and the swipes and the finger stabs, like the Freddy Krueger pokes with his big icy fingers. Typically pretty easy to dodge, but if you're not dodging them and you're playing a gun lance, they're insanely easy to block. And you can really just stand underneath his ribcage and go to town. Because when he is transformed, he's standing upright a lot, and you're going to be, if you're blocking enough, you're going to be pretty short, so you're going to dodge a lot of incoming stuff from the guy. He's definitely much easier this time around, now that I know what I'm doing, but this is after, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 fights with the guy prior to this point with just regular numpty armor that I wasn't trying very hard to work on. Yeah, so hopefully we have that kind of success with the Malzeno next week, but based on the experience with the Garangolm and the Lunageron, I don't think the Malzeno is going to be incredibly difficult. That is, unless I have to spend 1,000,000 hours farming different armor to combat him, but whatever. The vampire monster is for another day, and then the devil monster for another day after that. We have got 4 big angry monsters this month. And I may need to... Man, this month is almost over, isn't it? Damn. That sucks. October is kind of the best month of the whole year, so watching it go hurts. There's the Wolverine slash missing, well, not missing, getting blocked completely. Nice, easy combo. with the stab and explosion, and then the reload into overhead swing. Really helpful combo, especially when you want to deal more damage with your weapon instead of your explosive shells. His leap is getting pretty predictable too. There's his projectile attack, swinging a bunch of rocks at us, not doing nearly enough. He may have actually been doing that with a cat. And my cat dodged it with his Shadow Clone Jutsu, but that's fine too. I blocked it like a champion anyway. I was expecting it completely. Actually, my cat is doing a whole lot of tanking for me, and that isn't up close projectile too. My cat's doing a lot of tanking. I left the old I left the Palamute strategy, even though I think the Palamute was doing more damage, and opted for the double cat or Palico treatment, which I have one healing Palico, which is absolutely OP fucking busted, I believe. And while we watch me fail at figuring out which button or which direction does the Ice Breath for the Lunageron here, the other cat that I have is a thief cat. He's gonna steal parts. He's got an ability called Pilfer, and he's gonna be a collector. He just helps me get more stuff out of. There it is. We figured out the button. I think it's backwards strong attack, right? And it didn't work. It didn't happen the way that it's supposed to. For the love of God, where is the ability? Okay. So there's a forward strong attack, there's a backward strong attack. I don't know if backward and neutral are the same, but whatever. It took so long for me to figure out which button that was, and I'm very upset at how dumb I look. But I missed my bullet barrage, so maybe that'll take away from how embarrassing that whole escapade was. But my Pilfer cat, my thief cat, he not only does he steal, he pickpockets the monsters, so to speak, but he also drops it's called the Endemic Life Barrage. And what he does is just tosses out some toads every now and again. He can do a poison toad, he can do a paralysis toad, which is incredible, and he can do a sleep toad, which is holy shit. Have you ever seen more sleepy toads from a cat in your life? Let's go ahead and pop that bubble. Lunageron has not transformed again as of yet, so we're doing pretty good, all things considered. My cats are throwing bombs. They're also, my thief cat is firing explosive Beyblades at the Lunageron, which is just another reason to give him a little pat on the head. Now, we've been able to knock quite a few pieces off of the old Lunageron here. I think the leg damage that we've done to him mostly is what is dropping him to the floor on his dash, which is fantastic because I'm short, and even though I'm super short enough to dodge a lot of his swings, we're going to end up with problems like this, where I don't parry his swings because he's just going to swing right over my head. Okay, anyway, going for the Freddy Krueger stab again, dodging it completely with my shield, and by dodging I mean blocking, standing directly in front of it with my big beefy booster. He definitely is less interested in fighting me and more interested in jumping all over the place. I see a fruit over there. Just gonna go whack that real quick, get ready to block him again. My weapon needs active sharpening right now because we're dangerously low on plinking off of this man. And his carapace is, well, you know, it's sharp enough. Missed the parry again. But we're, you know, if you can't parry in time, just block. You know, there's no shame in blocking. Especially when you're as enormous as a gun lancer is. I mean, blocking just feels so right. I don't have to move. I don't have to dodge. I can just hold a shield up forever and win. And that's just the best feeling in the world. And then you switch to something like Hammer and it's like, oh my, let me walk around in 20 laps around the battlefield while I charge up this swing, waiting for an opportunity. get him in the brain, and then walk away, do it all over again. Hammer's fun, but my god, Gunlance, there's something extra fun about being tanky. Everything is blinking, flashing red. It's not going to work for much longer. I need to whip out a flash bomb here. There it is. Just got to do a little bit of dodging. Throw that bad boy at the ground in front of his face so we don't miss it. Can pop those healers a while we do, and then get a sharpen on. If you have not gotten used to the fact that the flash bomb can absolutely save you when you need to sharpen, I 100% recommend the strategy. It's super easy, especially if you're not like Giga Chad mode with some of the other Monster Hunter professionals out there, blocking the roar, parrying the roar, and then going for the swing. Ah, it feels so good. But if you're not a 2 minute and 50 second Monster Hunter record speed or champion like some of the other people on YouTube, I would definitely recommend the flash bomb sharpening combo. Man, that cat is just doing his absolute damnedest. He used the poison toad, now he's using the paralysis toad, and we got an absolute duke ton of damage on that man. Now I've got the sleep toad to help out my cat, take a little bit of the pressure off of him to perform. He doesn't have to use his last toad. I'll use the sleep toad, knock out Wolfie here after he, sits still for a little bit. There it is. Nice. Swings right into it. We've got everything lined up for a bullet barrage, but I think we're just going to go for the Wyvern Fire because that's what artillery is helping. We're going to get extra damage on this. 491 and then two 245s. So that was 500. That was about 1,000 damage. Almost 1,000 damage on our Wyvern Fire, shooting, scooting while the big boy was asleep. And that is fantastic to feel. Kitties are telling us he's ready to be captured, but I am going to wait until we get him into blue zone territory up in the top right before I go chancing my only shock trap on the man. There it is. If you're not familiar with this map, that tower can actually be knocked down and drop you some hunting materials. Not monster materials, things like exploding barrels, exploding kunai, that sort of stuff. It's pretty cool. Oh, Dust of Life, that's fantastic. I do love those. And there you have it, Dust of Life barrel bomb, just from ramming the Lunageron into the tower a couple times. I just want to see his face. Yeah, he's got his face all snuggled up inside the building. Just in case it rains, you know. Giving it the old Naruto jump at the end there. And that is it. That is the Lunageron in a nutshell. I probably need to figure out a little bit more how to talk about this game, because it is incredibly action-oriented. It's a little bit difficult to put all of my thoughts into word form. But that's about it. It's a 21:35 finish after collecting all of my birds. I'd say it's probably about a 16-minute finish at that, but I'm still pretty proud of that. Looks good. Anyway, that's it, everybody. See you next time.